Handle Your High with Tadayoshi.
All right, welcome back to Handle Your High with me, Tadayoshi, and I have my good buddy Nigel Lomax here with me. We're going to talk about the Arnold Classic and a lot of the divisions there, and I guess inappropriate because you're going to be my helper at the Arnold as you were at the Olympia, and so we're going to be covering that for the NPC News Online. But today we're going to talk a little about some of the competitors, and I have to admit, even though I'm a judge, even though I'm an industry guy, I'm a little weak on some of the classes because there's so many great competitors, and I don't always remember all the names. But Nigel, you always seem to have. I'm not like Dave Palumbo. Like, he can go to these shows and he remembers everybody's fucking name and like where they competed and shit. And I don't. I have to get pictures in front of me to refresh my memory on some of them. And some of these guys and gals, I don't remember because because there's so many pros now. So. But you seem to have your finger on the tack of the whole industry. Seems like.
I will be good until probably the women. Women are a little, there's a lot of them too, and Fitness International I might have to muddle through Fitness International just because you don't see. The fitness girls, except for twice a year,
Yeah, we'll cover the basics because I think the ones that everybody wants to hear about is really the first one everybody wants to hear about is the open class, and we don't have a 212 class this year, so that's unfortunate. But it's going to be pretty good. I mean, I'm looking at the list. I have it right in front of me. I'm looking at the list, and it looks really good. And one of the guys that usually falls into the 212. He's moving up. Your friend and mine, and who you get mistaken for often, our friend Charles Dixon, the Tank.
I'm not going to be mistaken for him during this event because, one, he looks really good, and two, he looks humongous. Even though I think he's still giving away like 20 pounds to everybody else.
But he never looks like it. He
looks great, though.
He really doesn't look like it. It was always my. Not criticism, my suggestion in previous years, because I know Tank too, and he's a great guy, and I've always suggested, look, man, you're going to look better smaller, and he would try to push down, and I think he just may look better, actually, when he's heavier. Yeah,
him and I, we've always, talked back and forth, and a couple of years ago, I convinced him to go under 212, for weigh-ins and stuff like that, and it worked for him for the Arnold 212 last year because he came in second. But I think that the look that he has right now is a lot better. I like it a lot better. It would surprise me if he was around 220. He might be even less than 220. He might be about 215. I don't think he's that far up.
Well, I saw some pictures, and it looks like. Now, this was just a couple weeks ago. You shared some with me, one with me that we kept private, but that was just, I think it was like a back shot or something.
Yep.
He didn't want to leak anything out. But there was, to me, it looked like, some of the criticisms I've had is that his waist gets a little blocky.
Right.
And so it didn't look like that.
No. I mean, I think they did a great job. From what I've understood from some of his training videos and everything, him and Monique, he's been training a little bit with Monique. Of course he trains with Trey Hodge and everything like that, but Monique has given him a couple of different training techniques and everything, and he's been incorporating that. And so it's interesting. I think he's trying some new things.
That's how you change.
And I think that is changing his body very well, and he's keeping that midsection. He's not doing as much cardio, believe it or not, that he normally does.
Oh,
he's
really?
Doing less cardio, yeah. So, which is interesting because he looks a lot tighter, and I know that he used to do cardio the last couple of weeks, like hours of cardio and stuff like that.
Well,
but I just think his body looks better. Maybe his body just naturally carries more weight and looks better, carrying more weight and more muscle.
Yeah, it's quite possible, or it could be just. I mean, there's also sometimes when you try to force the body down farther than it's going to go, then it resists, and so you end up having sort of there could be some residual stuff. Now he may just, I don't know what his diet's like. I don't know what his natural inclinations are when he eats, but oftentimes when some guys try to push down, they're eliminating some of the foods that they normally eat in more volume, like the starchy stuff specifically. And then when you eliminate that, if you do have the kind of weight he's carrying, they oftentimes get hungrier. And so they're eating more vegetation, they're eating more protein sometimes. And so that could cause the waistline to do some funny things, especially towards the end. And if you're, my suspicion is that oftentimes, I talked about this in one of my Instagram lives, that when people diurese real hard for a show, it's, man, when you take diuretics and water leaves the system, the first thing that happens is people get constipated.
Right. True.
And so they get, you're going to look, and those subtle changes will look different on stage because they get blown out of proportion. Like a quarter of an inch difference on your waistline could look radically different on stage.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe there's something to be said that him following his body's natural weight line where it wants to be for the show is going to do him better just from that perspective. And he's a big dude, so
he's huge. Yeah.
So he may get the extra inches in his shoulders, and it may make his waist look even smaller.
I think he'll be in the top 6.
I hope so.
Go that far.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go that far to say that I think he's gonna be in the top 6.
Well, the list that I have here, I'm gonna mention the ones that the top guys. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 guys. Looks like.
Yep.
So we got Lionel Baiki, William Bonnick, Raphael, Brandon Curry. Charles Dixon, of course, Steve Kuchlo, as you say, as the proper way to pronounce it, Josh Lenardovitz, Victor Martinez, Cedric McMillan, Luxano, Mikhail Volkin,
yep.
Akeem Williams, and Rolly Winkler. Now, great list for this show, in my opinion. Right. It's going to be a really tough show because there's a lot of really great guys. So Charles is in the mix there. It's a big list. I'm going to give you my prediction. You can tell me what you think.
Okay.
And again, this is just based on his history and based on what I can kind of see going on. But I don't see what a lot of these guys are hiding stuff these days. Everybody doesn't want to be out there showing their goods. If it was me, I would be showing my goods every day because I want, I would because I want everyone to know. You want the judges to know. You want your competitors to know. There's nothing. I'm not hiding nothing. There's nothing. That's just my philosophy. I would want that kind of momentum going into a show. But everyone's their own. I really think that when the push comes to shove in this lineup, if everyone's, I think Brandon Curry. I like Brandon Curry. I like Cedric McMillan, and I like Rolly Winkler. These are the top 3 guys in my opinion. I think Steve Kuchlo could be up there too. And William Bonnick, of course, but William Bonnick loses when he loses the size, he loses the stature, and so while he can do it, absolutely, there's no doubt, because when people stand next to each other, sometimes that stuff gets equalized. But if everyone's at their best, I'm kind of thinking that Rolly Winkler's got so much momentum right now that's what I would predict to win. But who would I want to win? Brandon Curry.
Okay, so I don't have Cedric in that top 3. I don't really have Cedric in the top 5, just based on the way that he looked last year.
Right.
I don't, and I think that this event is a harder event, and one of the reasons why is I think that all of these guys can come in condition, and Cedric never really comes in condition. The one time that he did come in condition, he almost beat Kai Green. But to me, even when he won the Arnold, he wasn't in great condition to me. I mean, he was okay, but he wasn't the best, Cedric we've seen. But if I were going to go with, I'm going to go with top 5. So I'm going to go with Rolly Winkler. I'm going to go with Brandon Curry. I'm going to go with William Bonnick. I'm going to go with Josh and Charles and Lionel Benecki, actually.
Okay. Well,
and my winner is going to be Rolly Winkler, even though I flip-flop between Curry and Rolly. And the reason why I flip-flop between Curry and Rolly is I saw Rolly, you and I saw Rolly up close and personal at the Olympia, and he was lights out. He looked great. If he's like maybe 2% better, it's over even for Sean. I mean, he just looked that good to me. But I haven't seen any pictures since, but I've seen some pictures of Brandon Curry.
Oh man, I saw
wow.
something.
I mean, he looks great. And it's the same thing with Bonnick. I saw a back picture of Bonnick. He looks spot on, so, but that's one of the reasons why I teeter between Curry or Rolly. Either one would not make me sad if they won, because I like them both. They both have, the great thing about the reason why I like Rolly is because he's just a freak. He's just freaky. But the great thing about Brandon is you get the best of both worlds. You get a very nice aesthetic freakiness about him. So, I'm not going to be mad at the judges if they give it to Curry, in other words. So
I'll tell you, on this list, I would agree.
My dark horse would be Akeem Williams, because I saw some pictures of him and he looks outstanding too.
This is kind of like where we get to sit here and sort of play judge for a little bit and the show and kind of make our guesses. But at the end of the day, I always like to remind myself that, when people stand next to each other when they're at a show, so things could change really fast. So this is just, this is just based on guesses and based on what we think might happen. So because we're several of these guys, just like you kind of mentioned, Rolly and Curry and of course Cedric, as well as Bonnick, especially when you throw Bonnick in there. It's hard to tell sometimes because we're really cutting hairs here, because the difference between first, second, third, fourth probably in this show is really small.
Oh yeah,
and
and if Cedric comes in shredded, he'll win. Definitely, he just has to come in shredded and very complete, and he'll win. That's the only reason. No hate for Cedric. That's the only reason why I don't have him winning, and I don't have him in the top 6.
And I think he needs it. Like all great competitors in this sport, they need to have a wow factor, and that could be in their physique. But they also need to have a personality. You need to be able to communicate that kind of presence on stage. And Cedric is a little weak in that. So is Brandon, which holds him back. He's getting better. Cedric has gotten better. William Bonnick, he's got a great personality on stage.
Right.
He knows how to project. And Rolly's made huge, vast improvements.
Oh yeah.
So this will be an interesting one, because all these guys in my book all still have several years ahead of them, with the exception of Cedric, who probably has the least amount of time left in his career, in my opinion. This is just my opinion, because I think these are guys who are hitting their stride, and like Winkler and Curry, and they're hitting their stride, and Bonnick, and this is where they're starting to really shine. Guys like Victor Martinez, he really hit it, in probably 2008, 2007. Really missed his opportunity to really. One of the guys here on this list who I've always liked and who I've thought was probably one of the best genetically gifted bodybuilders that the sport's ever seen is Lionel Baiki. I love this guy. I think that if I was going to look like one of these guys, this is the guy whose physique I would want to look like. I mean, he just has never been able to put it together in a way that would impress the judges. He seems to get lost in the crowd. But when you see him one-on-one, or you see him by himself, all right. Sorry about that, technical difficulties. We're back. Mr. Lomax here and his dead battery. All right, so we were talking about Lionel Baiki, I think. One of the guys who I really, really admire. I think he's got superior genetics, really, but he doesn't seem to be able to put it together for the shows in the most complete way. I mean, any other pro show, he should be able to go and do really very, very well. But he doesn't seem to be able to put it together. And part of it, I remember talking with DJ some years ago when he was coaching him, and he swore the guy wouldn't stay on his diet, and that's what he thought why he couldn't. But I don't know if that's completely the case. I saw some pictures recently. He looked pretty good. I don't know how he's going to do. The only weakness I see in his physique is that his back lacks some depth. And so I don't really like the way that he poses very well. So there's a presentation issue, I think. But he certainly has one of the best physiques out there. I mean, just pretty. It's just pretty in my book. So,
well, I think it's his back and his hamstrings. So when you see him from the front, you're like, he beats everyone from the front. But when he turns around, it's kind of like the front and the back don't match.
Right.
So that, I don't know if that's a diet problem though. I've heard all sorts of theories behind it. I did hear that he doesn't stay on his diet. And I know he's been working with George Farah, or he had been working with George Farah. I don't know if he's still working with George Farah.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But I don't think it really has anything to do with his diet. I think it might have something to do with his training. but you don't know how he trains, because I've never seen a video of him training. So I have no idea how he trains.
Oh, okay. Well,
You know.
well,
So, but you're right. Lionel Benecki, out of all of them, I mean, to me, he has the most genetic talent
he just has some.
out of all of those guys on that list.
Well, I just really appreciate his physique, he's a really nice guy. Like he's a very spiritual guy. I know that. His posts always seem to be spiritually motivated. He gives a lot of thanks, and which is wonderful. And I think he's got and I've spoken with him. He has a heavy French accent, but a really nice fellow, really wonderful guy. So I really like him. But I do think that he could do so much better. He's got a few more good years left in the sport. He doesn't seem to really have any injuries or anything, so I would like to see him do well. I really would like to see him fix some of those issues. I don't think he needs to have a perfect physique, and if history has proven to us anything, you don't need to have a perfect physique to win shows, but you do have to be able to present it well, and you got to be able to show your strengths, and I think that's kind of part of it as well. So whatever the case, I definitely think that he could really. I mean, I'm really hoping for the year that we see him just explode out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love his physique. I've always loved his physique. So I hope he does well. He did well last year. I mean, I thought he did pretty well last year. I think he placed ahead of Steve Kuchlo, which, if I remember correctly, he did. And I thought that Steve should have placed a little bit ahead of him. But again, when you see his front versus Kuchlo's front, and Kuchlo does have a problem with his back as well. You have to give it to Lionel on that one. I mean, Lionel wins that, so I could see it. But Steve looked really improved last year. I was surprised that he didn't look all that great during the Olympia, but he really did look really good during the Arnold.
Yeah, and I've seen some recent stuff as well, and he looks pretty. Like he's looking more like I would expect him to look. I don't know if it was his training. I kind of think it was training. I think there's something different going on with his training now than he had before. I don't know if it was you that told me this or somebody else told me this. But whatever the case is, he looks like he's really starting to look like where I thought that he had the potential to. Because when he first came out several years ago, he'd done well, but I think a lot of people was very critical because he was sort of touted as like this next great white hope. And yet and he was sort of achieving it, but yet in the midst of people who fans really believed should have probably done better. But now he seems to be coming into his own in much stronger ways. So I think that it wouldn't surprise me to see Steve in the top 3 or 4. It wouldn't surprise me at all, especially with what I saw earlier this week, what he looks like. But that's kind of, there's a lot of dependencies, right? Like because like William Bonnick, if he comes in looking even like remotely like he usually does, which he's always very consistent. His coach is Neil Hill, and he's very consistent with his athletes. Probably in my opinion. Somebody asked me this on my Instagram Live, who I thought some of the best coaches were. And Neil's at the top of my list. I believe that he has a true level of mastery when it comes to coaching for the most part. And but I think he'll bring him in very solidly, just like we normally see him. The only thing that will stand his way is that Rolly Winkler's got a lot of momentum, and he's freakishly, monstrously, grotesquely huge. And it's kind of like, so William Bonnick, he doesn't have anywhere to go with his physique in terms of size. So only thing he could do is really just keep nailing his condition, refine a little bit here and there, but not a whole lot. But he's got a great physique. So it wouldn't surprise me if William came in second or third. Like, it really wouldn't. Or he could win too, because he's won it before. So you never really know.
I don't think he's going to win.
I don't either.
I think it's going to be the Rolly Curry show.
Yeah.
And I think everything beyond that is a toss-up. It would not surprise me. And you were saying how you thought maybe Steve could break in. I think if you're going to go the battle of the tall men, I'm going to have to give Akeem the upper hand on that. That guy is a beast and tall.
How tall is Akeem?
I think he's like 6'1", somewhere around there.
Wow, he's that tall. I did not realize he was that tall.
I mean, he might not be that tall. It could be the fact that I'm 5'4". I mean,
you're like a Keebler elf, man. So sorry, like everyone's going to see that tall.
Exactly. I mean, talking to the Keebler elf here, where Jose Raymond is tall to me. So
that's okay. It makes you look bigger.
Exactly. So, but I mean, Akeem, I've been really impressed with Akeem. But I've always said that if he got it, he nailed his conditioning and everything and got his back, the lower back, just freaky, he would be outstanding. And it looks like that's exactly what they've done. And his waist is really tiny for him. So I don't know. I have to say I would have Akeem over Steve.
It's been my experience watching some of these shows over the years, last many years, 30 years. I definitely know that, or at least I believe that what generally happens is, especially with a guy like Akeem, you get a competitor who we really know could be placing higher, but there's a condition issue, there's a development issue, or whatever it is. It takes them usually 1 to 2 years to really, when they nail it, they don't usually place exactly, it takes a time to move up. So he may need, and I could be wrong with this with Akeem, but I think that Akeem's probably going to need, this is an important show for him, I think. He needs to show that he's made some improvements. He needs to clean that physique up from previous outings so that it looks clean and crisp, and it looks like we know that it can look. He needs to do that a couple of times and consistently move up, and then you'll see him break it into where he probably more deserves at shows, which could be some wins. And I think he's got it in him. So that's why I think if I was to put the battle of Steve and Akeem together, if they're battling it out for, like, say, 4th place, I'd probably say Steve has probably got more of a chance of beating Akeem. But again, this is all just guess, hearsay.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is I've got Akeem winning on legs as well. I mean, Akeem's just got better legs than him.
Okay. So what about Victor Martinez? Because I talked to some people, and he went out there to Kuwait. And he's putting his nose down. I know he knows that his years are coming to a close here. He's not going to have a decade left of competing in him. And he looks like he's from what I understand, I didn't see pictures, but from what I understand, he's looking pretty good. So he could be in the top 7, 6.
I would like his body at my age as well. He's not too far away from my age to begin with. I would take his body. Here's my thought though. One, he is not as imposing as he used to be compared to these guys. These guys have a lot more mass than him, and all these guys have mature mass as well. So that doesn't bode well for him. And the other thing is, we have not seen his legs. Don't know what his legs look like. Only seen his back shots look great. His front shot looks great as well. But I mean, I saw a picture of him maybe 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Yeah, it was 3 weeks before the Arnold, and I thought he looked great. But if you stack him up with somebody like Rolly or somebody in the top 6, even if you stack him up with Luke Sandow, he's going to get lost with Luke Sandow. Because Luke has so much muscle. The only difference between him and Luke Sandow is that Luke, actually, his muscle hasn't matured as much as Victor's muscle has matured. So it's going to have a different look. It's going to have a puffier look, or normally he has a really puffy look.
What do you think about?
I don't really think that Victor has the mass. He's still got that pretty line, but I don't think he has the mass to hang with him in the top 7. And not knowing what his legs look like, I wouldn't put him in the top 7.
What do you think about Josh Lonarowitz? He's done so well.
Josh is in my top. He's in my top 6. I think, man,
I like him.
It's like a freak.
I like him.
I do.
With a show like this, my gut tells me that you need to have some headway coming in.
Yeah, and he took off the whole year, but it was anticipated, like the anticipation of him coming back. Since people didn't think he was going to come back, is a really good pull. That's one. And the reason why I like Josh is he's like he always comes in very conditioned. He looks like a freak, but he's not the most aesthetically looking guy out there. You know,
he's got a few. There's a few structural issues.
Exactly, but I like that because he's not perfect. You know, but his posing could be better. I don't know if they've figured that out, because his posing could be a lot better. But I'm glad to see him back and everything. But because I think he's just a freak. But I put him in my top 6. I don't have him winning. I don't have him in the top 4. But I mean, I think it's a great outing for him, and I think he's doing Australia right afterwards.
Okay,
I think that's much better competition, and I think that competition. I think Curry and Rolly and Josh are doing Australia, so Australia should be good too. So.
Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, that's going to be good. Yeah, I knew that Curry was, and I think there's Brazil as well,
right?
And I know Juan Morel's doing that. I just did his. I just had him on as a guest in my Handle Your High, and it was a great conversation. But he's looking forward to doing that show and the New York Pro, so that's kind of cool. I was, but not this show. He's really. I like that he's very realistic with what he wants. He only wants to go if he feels like he should go. Like he won't go to the Olympia. He won't go to the Olympia unless he wins the show, even if he qualifies.
I don't know if he wants to do New York because the bet is that Rami's going to be doing New York. So
well, I think that's okay. I think he it's his hometown. Like he's a New York guy and he's got to do it. I think that's just sort of I think it's his special.
Listen, if it comes between the New York crowd yelling for Rami versus Juan, I'm sorry, Juan, but Rami's going to get it. I was there when Rami won the New York Pro, and Victor and Juan and John were both in that, and everybody was screaming Rami's name. Everybody. So Rami got screams, and he was a relative. No one even knew him in New York. So you know that New York is one of those places. They love New Yorkers. They really do. But they're very real. If you deserve to win, they're all behind you. They love great bodybuilding, and they love freaks, So that's the New York crowd right there. So that's one of the reasons why the New York Pro is one of my favorite shows to go and see. Love that show. Oh
yeah, well I like it too. I guess I haven't been there for 2 years, but I do love that show. I liked it better when they had it at their little location. I don't really like it as much.
So did I.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just, but that's.
I think it's in Whitehall, something.
Oh.
It's way out there in the boot. It's way out there. It's like 45-minute drive with traffic.
Oh.
And I don't like that location at all. I liked it when it was in Brooklyn. So that's my favorite location, when it was in Brooklyn.
Yeah, me too.
But Steve, bring it back to Brooklyn.
I
think my pick is going to be Rolly. Rolly's going to be my pick.
I'm kind of I'm rooting for Brandon. I'm rooting for Brandon Curry. I want him to win. I think he's got it in him, but I have a sneaky suspicion. I just think that Rolly's got too much momentum. I think he's where he needs to be, and I think he's probably going to end up, steamrolling this one a little bit and taking it. That's what I think. The people's champion from the Olympia.
Here's my prediction. So Rolly will take. I think he'll take Columbus. I don't think Rolly, after taking Columbus, will actually do the Australian tour.
Really?
So then I think Curry will win Australia.
Okay.
And then I think that Bonnick will win. South Africa? I believe it's South Africa.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happens, and then the New York Pro will go to Rami.
Okay.
That's my prediction. Yeah. So that's if Rami does it, because Rami could conceivably do Tampa Pro for all we know.
Oh.
So I mean, it's just a rumor that he's going to do New York. So
we'll see.
It's not a done deal.
Well, we'll see what happens, I guess. We'll switch gears just a little bit, and we'll go to the classic physique guys. I got my list in front of me. So it looks like there's a nice number here. We got, and I hope I don't murder some of these names. We got Khalid Chikoi. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Forget it.
Charles Curtis, Ali Emery. Let's see, Dion Harris, Lejon Jones, Steve Lorius, Fabio Lopez, Elijah Loriano. See, I don't know half these guys. Jason Lowe. See, David Martinez Campos, Romudi, Ricky Moten, Courage Opera. I love that, man. These names, Courage, man. Like, I think I'm gonna name my son Bravery. Keone Pearson, George Patterson. I guess it's Pierre, and Wesley Vissers. So, what you give me your take here on this? This is because I don't know some of these guys. I don't know some of these guys. George Brown isn't doing it. I thought he was.
No, George Brown is not doing it, and I just ran into George Brown in Ohio, in Columbus, but he's not doing it.
So, that's a shame.
So Steve Loris is a young guy who basically won the Pittsburgh Pro. Okay. And then he was the one that went to the New York Pro as a 212 competitor and got almost dead last. So, he has been, he went and he started working. I don't know if he's still with Neil Hill, but I think he is, because he was in Tampa working with Neil Hill and prepping sometimes with Flex Lewis. Okay. So I am curious to see what he looks like. He has a body that is kind of like, I would say it's kind of like the Black Arnold Schwarzenegger in a way. It's got that sort of look to it, except when he won Pittsburgh, it's an argument that he did not really deserve that win. He was not in shape. So I thought that they gave it to him because his back is fantastic and some of his shots are just very picturesque, and he does have a flowing, he's got a pretty body.
So who's your standouts here? Like, I guess George Peterson.
George Peterson is number one.
Yeah, that's who I would pick.
He's going to blow this field away. It's over.
I just don't see anybody here, and I hate to say that because I don't see anybody here that's mature enough in it yet to be able to beat him.
The only person that I give an outside to is Pearson, because Pearson has been working with Flex Wheeler, and he looks really, really good. Flex is doing stuff that you say people should do, which is high rep. So he's been doing a lot of high rep training with medium weight, and so he's been looking really good. I saw some pictures of Charles Curtis. Charles Curtis does look very good as well. Okay. It wouldn't surprise me if Charles didn't crack into the top three. And Courage Ampera was the surprise last year. I believe he was third last year. He wasn't in the crispest shape, but he was the best one. He was really good for the rest of the field. He could have been in better shape, but he looks really good. So it'll be interesting to see what he looks like. And I do like this guy Khalid. I've seen a couple of pictures of him and everything, and he looks interesting. I don't know how well he's going to do, but he'll be somebody that people should look out for, I think. Wesley Visser, he won a show last year, and I thought he was incredibly off. And then he went to the Olympia and he got dead last at the Olympia. So I did see some pictures of him 4 weeks into it. I think it was on Giles's. It was on Giles' Muscle Development Weekly. Those pictures, even Giles said he looked like he was at least 4 weeks out. And
there was a few guys. I think I remember correctly. There was a couple guys like that, but at the Olympia. But yeah, it's hard. This division's still very, very new. We're kind of still getting to see what physiques are really resonating with the judges, and which ones are, and it really, you got to judge what's in front of you. So like, when I'm looking at these guys judging, I have to judge what's in front of me, and I can tell some of them really they're trying to find their own. And most of them are so young. Many of them are young. So to get to nail, to be a pro at that level in bodybuilding, whether you're 212 or open, you really have been seasoned,
Right.
And so you have, at least to a certain degree, you have your conditioning. So I'm surprised that Brian Ansley is not going to compete, because if it was me, I'd go and I'd compete at the show. But I guess because he doesn't.
He's got a lot of business commitments and stuff like that, and
this is part of it.
Hey, listen, the Black Swan is busy, man.
I totally.
He's too busy for this. He won last year. He's too busy. Hey,
well,
I was surprised that Arash didn't do it. I really did. I thought Arash would have done it, but
if he did, he would stand a good chance of winning, I think.
You know what? I wonder whether or not he made, he made the commitment not to do it before he actually saw the lineup.
Yeah. Well,
or but you and I talked to him like after the Olympia, and he's a very cerebral guy, so he probably just wanted to take. I mean, he's.
Well, I think he's like a lot of guys, I think, and this I don't want to speak for him, but my guess is that he's going to focus all of his attention on the Olympia, maybe do something beforehand, but focus most of his attention on really doing that and making some small improvements on his physique. I think that's my guess. I could be wrong, but that's my guess. A lot of guys do that, and it really, to me, in this division, because the guys at the top, they're not going anywhere in weight. You know what I mean? So it actually behooves you to be able to compete again. It's very realistic to be able to compete twice like this, to do the Arnold and Olympia. And I would do it. I personally would do it. Because especially for somebody like Arash and for somebody like Brian Ansley, both these guys who are always in the top, a couple spots. Well, Brian's always winning, but he should be able to win. And I would, especially if you my logic would be for Arash would be, if you can't win the Olympia the last couple of times and you're working your way up to win it, then this is the show to win. This is the show to get through momentum. And you don't have a lot of places to go with weight. So it's not like you need a huge offseason to build. And for Brian, I would say, I get it that you're busy, but you extend your career by being successful in competition. It doesn't make you money necessarily more than your business opportunities could, but in the long run, you increase your brand. It's about developing a brand when you can, because someday you won't be able to do it on stage. You know what I mean? Like some of the guys, and I'm not trying to harp on it, but like Dexter stuff, got started late building their brand, in my opinion. But the guys who started early, wow, they don't need to win. Look at Kai Green, who doesn't need to win a single. He doesn't need to compete, and he's and so same thing with Jay Cutler and even Ronnie Coleman, who still has a very strong brand in the industry, but he's a different case because he won the Olympia so many times. So that's a different case. But these other guys aren't going to probably do that. You know what I mean? They're good. Even somebody like Brian, who's probably not going to win the Olympia time and time again. There's going to be all kinds, because this is, like I said, it's evolving. So I would be thinking strategically. I get it. You want to win the big show, but I would rather win a slightly smaller show many times.
Yeah.
I
mean, but the other thing is, doesn't Arash still have to? Doesn't he have to qualify?
Yes. Yeah, he would have to qualify.
Okay, so I guess maybe he's waiting for the New York Pro.
Probably. My guess is he's probably waiting to be able to qualify and then go right into the Olympia. You know what I mean?
Okay, so he's either going to do Canada or.
He may have told me this, and I'll bet you he probably is. One of those shows, probably like.
Okay, so because
I should have paid attention.
It wouldn't surprise me if he did the New York Pro, because that's in his backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
He wouldn't have to go anywhere in order to do the New York Pro.
He would just have to start dieting. He would just have to start dieting now.
Well, true. I still think he should have done. I know that he said that there were a lot of improvements that he wanted to make, especially on his back and everything else. So maybe that's maybe the deal is So,
Well,
but I wish he had, because technically, of all of the classic physiques, he's actually my favorite.
okay,
So,
good.
yeah, he is my favorite.
Well, moving on, Men's Physique, which is kind of a fun one because it's got
there's so many people.
There's so many people, and there's so many interesting characters. I'm writing this down for my notes so I can post it, but that's why I'm typing away. But looks like we have more competitors in this one. Obviously, they extend this class out a little bit, but last year's Andre Ferguson was last year's champion. A very kind of outspoken kind of guy, nice fella, but wonderful physique. Is he doing it? Let's see.
Yeah, Andre Ferguson is doing it, and George Brown. We made a mistake. George Brown is in physique, so he is doing it.
Okay, so I'm sorry, George Brown. Yeah. I was looking at physique. Yeah, let's see.
Yep, he's in physique.
We got. So I'm just gonna go. There's several people, but I'm gonna hit some of the people that I think are important to watch for. Raymond Edmonds. I think he's important to watch for. George Brown. Of course, see Andre Ferguson, Sadiq. Of course, Sadiq Hazavik. He's the first winner of this show in 2015, which is so he's going to be doing it. And I heard Sadiq. He'll probably be the most interesting one to watch for this one because he's taken some time off. He's sort of capitulated, and it looks like he's made some good improvements. So. Let's see. I don't know who else you got here because there's a lot of guys. So
I've got Logan. I think Logan Franklin.
Yes, Logan Franklin, of course.
And I think that so Chaz Chase maybe Chase.
Oh, Chase the boy. Oh yes, Chase the boy. Yeah. I didn't see him. Yeah. I think that, and those are probably some of the top guys. There's probably one or two guys may sneak into that top 5, top 6. Pretty easily because I don't know half these guys. Next time we do a roundup for the Arnold and for the Olympia, when we do the Olympia, I'm gonna do a little more research. So I apologize for not doing my research. I've just been so swamped with all this other stuff for the podcast.
Well, and plus you you're not doing cardio every day, so you're not able to see all of these all of these YouTube things that I have to see because I'm doing cardio all
Well, I really hope in this lineup. I really hope that I kind of feel that Andre Ferguson's probably going to win again, but you never know because I really hope that. I hope that Chase Savoy does well. I really like his physique. I really think he's got a winner of physique. But you never know how people look next to each other. But Sadiq, I hope he does well. I really do. I really want him to do well. I think he's a crowd favorite. But it's probably going to be Andre Ferguson, and I would probably say now top 3. I mean, if George Brown doesn't hit the top 3, it would surprise me because he's got such a strong physique for men's physique. He has got a midsection that I just don't see anybody beating. But really, really a wonderful. And probably the best skin tone out there, man. Nice dark complexion. It looks great on stage, and he poses well.
Skin tone. Yeah.
so those are my picks. It's a great class, but it'll be interesting. It'll be good. Like I said, so I think probably Raymond Edmonds stands to be the favorite, but I'm rooting for George to do well and for Sadiq to do well. And Chase.
Think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Andre Ferguson's going to win. I'm pretty sure about that. I love Raymond's physique. I think it's a great physique. And then, of course, I've got George Brown after that. I'm not sure where Sadiq is going to land and everything. I'm not really sure about him, but I do like Chase a lot.
I do too. I really do.
Yeah.
And that dude's getting in shape. I saw some pictures. He looks like he's coming in smaller. He's dialed in. He's taking the advice. I mean, they don't, he's really. I think he's got to stand some really great chance. Maybe I'll have him on my podcast.
Yeah, and I forgot Logan Franklin. I really did. I was impressed with the way that he looked at the Olympia. So. Okay.
All right. Well, cool. Well, we'll do one more.
Is it Logan? Is Logan the one that is being coached by Neil Hill or no?
It's possible. I don't know for sure. I don't know. It's possible. People switch coaches so much, in this industry.
Yeah, that's true. It could be Ryan Terry I think it's Ryan Terry.
Okay.
But.
Well, now we'll switch gears a little bit to the women, and we'll go to some figure because it's one of the ones that I really like. I like the figure class. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know you like the figure class.
Well, of course, last 2 years, she won, Candice Lewis Carter. I almost got a chance to coach her several years ago before, and I just knew when I saw her way back when, like several years ago, that she was going to be an Olympian, and she was going to have one of the best. But at the time, her quads were so dominant.
Huge.
They were just dominant on her physique. They needed to tone them down. Let's see, is she...
No, she's not in it.
She's not in it. She's probably just focusing on the Olympia. That's my guess. But Sydney is my girl. Sydney is in it. So she's my favorite. And of course, if she doesn't win, I think I would probably just have a heart attack, because I just don't think that anybody in this lineup. So we got a couple of unknowns of sorts, but a lot of good competitors. We got Maria Diaz, Melissa Bumstead. Brittany Campbell, Zulma Duran, Wendy Fortino. Go, Wendy. I love you, girl. Let's see. Sydney Gillian. Of course, my girlfriend, Sydney Gillian. Sandra Gialis. I think she's Hispanic. I'm fucking that name up. I'm sorry. Michelle Lindsay. Lola Montez, Jessica Reyes Padilla. She's a great physique, and actually Arash coaches her. He's done.
Really?
Yeah, he's done a great job with her. Noelia Segura, Natalia Soltero, Carly Harrell. Let's see, Bonya. I'm gonna mess this. It's Baltic. Vasilic, and Nadia Wyatt. Now, a couple people that I think that really stand out for me. Wendy should do well. She's always done well, so she should easily place in the top 5, and she's looking really stellar right now. Sydney, of course, I believe will win. I just don't think that she's going to lose in this lineup. And here's the dark horse, so to speak, that's going to come out. Nadia Wyatt. She's a little tiny thing. And she has the perfect, if there's a perfect physique out there, she's got it. Like tiny waist, well-developed muscles. The problem that she has is she poses too quickly, and she doesn't really show this really nice, she needs to work on her presentation so that she can display this really wonderful physique. But I do like Jessica Padilla, but she may or may not. She did okay at the Olympia, but and she did okay at other shows. She won some show last year. I think got second or third in another show, I believe, or something like that. And she's done well, but I think she looks a bit muscular for the class, and so it may hold her back.
She looks like a physique competitor to me.
She does. She looks like a physique competitor. Yeah, and I think she was at the Olympia, and we were making the comment there. But great physique, and you never know what's going to happen. It's easy to come down like that. It's easy to take a physique and really whittle it down. So there's some hope. Melissa Bumstead. Now, interesting. I don't know. I haven't seen her directly compete, but that's Chris's wife, right?
Actually, you did.
You
saw her at the Olympia. Okay. She was one of the 16, I think there were 16 Canadians.
Oh, right, that's right.
Canada.
Yeah, you made a point. That's right. And I hate to say this because I like Chris's physique, and it's okay. Like he still needs to continue to mature, and he'll do great.
Right.
That's his wife, right?
No.
Sister.
They're siblings.
Sister.
Yeah. So she is actually married to Ian.
Oh.
Ian Verlaine. Yeah. Okay. So that's they got married last year, actually. So she's a newlywed.
Okay. So I kind of felt like now, and I'm not trying to like bum rush her or anything, but I kind of feel like she's been able to capitalize on a little bit of momentum from her brother.
Actually, I would disagree. I think, and it's not because I'm a Canadian homer, which I am, but I think actually her physique is really good. I think that she's very young, but out of this lineup and everything, I could see her in the top 5.
Okay.
I think that sometimes her physique is a little bit overpowering, and you kind of look at it and go, you could probably gain a little bit and go into physique. So it depends. She's got a powerful like look. But it's very she's got a very nice figure. She's got very nice muscularity. It's very feminine. I liked her look at the Olympia. I think one of the reasons why she didn't play so well at Olympia is because she's brand new. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
so
At least she was there, which means she's done well.
Exactly. So I don't think she's going to be so lost in this competition. I think it's a great competition for her to do. I'd like to see her do a couple more before going to the Olympia, though.
Yeah.
Because I think that she needs to be seen a lot more, and people need to see her as Melissa Bumstead instead of I'm Chris Bumstead's, sister. And I think a lot of people do that, though. I mean, come on, everybody's human. They think, okay.
Well, he's done so well, and he's come out and with like on fire the last couple of years, last 2 years or so, and but it's natural, right? Like it's natural, but
right.
But yeah. So hey, I'm actually I'm actually really impressed, Nigel. You've educated yourself a little bit on the women's side. When we went to the Olympia, you were like, I'm going to be honest, Tad. I'm not going to know much about the ladies' side. I'm like, okay, but you've upped your game, bro. I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, you made me like look at 2 hours.
I made you, yeah.
Yeah. I as I said, most gay men do not look at women for 2 hours.
But you can appreciate a great physique.
I think this is going to be a great Arnold. I'm super excited. My only drawback to this Arnold is the lack of 212. I hate that. They need to bring back the 212. I think that there are other things that they can do. I don't know. Get rid of ballroom dancing. I have no problem. Just bring back the 212. And I think that this is one of the few things that I would like argue with the committee. They said that there wasn't enough participation from the top bodybuilders from 212. That's the logic that they're giving people. But if you look at it, the only people in the top 10 and 212s that did not lumped last year at the Arnold was Flex Lewis and Mr. USA, Lunsford.
Oh, Dirk Lunsford, yeah.
Yeah, so those two were the only ones that did not compete, that were in the top 10. Now think about that. I'm sorry, Ashkenazi.
Okay.
So those were three guys. So think about that. And because Camille got to be seen and everything, he got a lot of buzz going into that show, and actually almost took second place. And I would say that he should have gotten second place at the Olympia. So I thought it was an exciting show last year. The 212 show was one of the best shows, of the whole event.
Yeah, I don't know. So, it's kind of a shame, though. I agree with you. It's a shame that they dropped the 212 out. I'm not even sure why. If it's for timing reasons or what, I don't know. But whatever the case is, it's too bad because I really liked it. It was I was one of the divisions I looked forward to the most. But nonetheless, it is what it is. I'm going to switch gears one more time. We're going to cover this next division really quick, and I don't expect you to know a lot. It's the bikini division, and and it's because there's some good competitors, but there's just a couple that I want to highlight, and I'll make my prediction. So last year, the last 2 years, Angelica Texera won, of course, and she was actually an Olympia winner as well. But the standouts here this year looks like if I look at the list right, is Janet Leog, Ashley Kisswalter, and let's see, there's probably one or two others in there too. But those, in my book, those are my two favorites. I probably think that Ashley's going to come in and win this pretty easily. But I could be wrong. There could be somebody else in here that I'm missing. If I don't see, I'm sorry, ladies. But there are some really, because sometimes new people come up out of nowhere and you never know. And this would be the show to do it at, so. But it's, when it comes to bikini, it's really, so much of it is really about shape and structure. And they all are going to be in shape, they're all going to look good, but so much of it is shape and structure. And so when you have somebody, it's so easy for them to come up right away without really having to develop, I hate to say it like this, but we're really having to take so many years to develop a physique, which is why many of them are so young, because it doesn't take years and years and years.
So why isn't there a complaint that that the bikini girls, the top 10 of the bikini girls don't come to the show? What do you mean?
Top?
I mean, there was 212, the theory is that the top stars don't go to the 212 Arnold. They don't compete. But I mean, this bikini lineup, like you said, you only really know two of these women that are in the bikini lineup.
So I guess I'm missing the question. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just.
So it just seems like, this is not the top 10. This is not the top 10 or the top 5 that were at the Olympia, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Why aren't they here?
Exactly. Why aren't, I mean, the criticism behind 212 or taking out the 212, one of the criticism was that they couldn't get the top 5 to actually, to come. But it's not the same. The same is not said for bikini, because none of these girls, other than Ashley and Janet, are actually in the top 10.
Well, good question. I think it's because there's such a high volume of them. That's one factor, and another factor is that the payout for this, the first place, is only $7,000. So you're not going to get the same volume of competitors who are at the top level. You're going to get others. So the ones who believe they can win, the top ones, they're probably going to be more likely to show up,
right? Because
they want that $7,000. And they want the title. But the other ones, the say place 5 through 10, probably won't do this show, or even beyond that, probably won't do this show because they probably figure that the top girls are going to be there. They're not going to win that show either. So it's going to be another almost run, and you place out of the money after 6th place. So if you feel like you could be in the top 6, go for it. If you feel like you can't, bide your time and do a show, spend your money, do a show that you know that you might have a better chance of placing. That's probably the reason why.
Yeah, because I mean, no offense to the bikini girls, but this division doesn't make me, it doesn't intrigue me as much as the physique division and the figure division, because there's a lot more competition in the physique. So we think. Then, like you said, some of these bikini girls, women, we haven't seen and everything, and they could be awesome. We just haven't seen them. But just based on name value and everything else, there's not that many big names. There's 2 big names in that whole lineup.
Yeah. Well, and it sometimes is hit and miss too. So some years you get a close duplication of the Olympia. But sometimes, but I think a lot of it has to do with the payout. It gets really sparse. So like when you look at, say, the women's physique division, there's a couple of people that may have been in Olympia, but really there's not a whole lot of people that stand out to me. When I look at the names, I'll tell you who's going to walk away with it. Easy, hands down, Natalia Colio. She's the only big name on this list that I see in the competitors. And the problem with this is that, at first place pays out $5,000, so now the money goes down more, and it pays to 6th place, $500. It's okay, you're getting money, but the problem is that again, there's fewer. There's a lot of physique competitors, and so you get the same kind of strategy. If they don't feel like they can win, it's really not worth it, because unless you just need the points to get to the Olympia, or something of that nature, but to get the points, you got to place in the top spots. So,
well, yeah, it may be the reason why I'm more interested in. You're right, because women's physique doesn't really have that many big names and everything. But maybe the reason why it would have interest to me is because there's a lot of muscle on.
Well, I'll tell you one division that I'm kind of excited for this year, and it's something that you and I don't really have to report on for the NBC News, but it's the pro wheelchair division. They're going to have it at the Arnold, and they're going to have it at the Olympia.
I was going to say something about that. Actually.
Yeah, so I'm saying this because one of my good friends, who's a pro, Chris Dim, who I had on my show, but I've known him for 20 years, or since the late 90s, when I first met him in the early 2000s when he turned pro, and I started to see him at shows. Great guy, I love him to death, and he was truly he was an awesome bodybuilder before he had his the issues with his nerves and his spine and stuff, and he is paralyzed. He's not completely paralyzed from the waist down, but he's had some issues, and aortic, it's frayed, so it's got so he believes that he's going to come out. So if you want his whole story on that, people could listen to my my interview that I did with him on my podcast, Handle Your High. He did a great job explaining it. He's doing stem cell therapy, and he's getting some stuff back, but he's still in a wheelchair, and he has to work out in one. And but he's better up than some of the guys, you know. But it's interesting. So like, you know, Harold Kelly, who's probably the favorite because he's won it 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But Chris is going to be bigger than everybody else. I can tell you that for sure because he's a big kid. And I remember he and I are about the same height. And I remember going backstage and he was guest posing and and he was so big looking and he was only 208 pounds. And I'm like, damn, how come I don't look like that at 208 pounds? I'm like, this big, he's got 22 and 3-inch arms, you know, like I think it was like 22-inch arms at the time. And he's you know, an Asian guy like me, but he seemed to look so much bigger. I always thought, but so I'm hoping. But he told me that this show he's not going to look his best. He will be at the Olympia. They gave him they want to bring him there, so he's not going to look his best because he really decided to really lock it in. I think maybe 8 weeks ago. So he started because it was just sort of Harold called him and said, "Hey man," or I think it was Harold called him and said, you know, come on, we want you to do this show. You do the Olympia. And he's like, no. I said, well, they got him to do the Arnold, and then to a warm up he's going to keep dieting. He's going to come in shape for the Olympia this year. So that's going to be cool. And Chris is such a good guy. I want to see him do well, and I want to see him. I want to see more success for him. He's a good, positive role model for the sport. None of these other guys, aside from Harold, perhaps they don't. I'm not saying they don't, but they don't have the same personality. Like Chris is actually, he's known and he's trying to do something positive for people who have these disabilities and showing people that you don't have to take this on your back. You can still get up and live your life and accomplish the things you want. So the sad thing is the payout for the first place is only $3,000.
Yeah, but I don't think he's really.
No, it's not about the money. It's not about the money.
And from what I've understood, he's going to actually do most of the wheelchair events that they're going to have this year.
You know,
so apparently, yeah, I heard it on a different interview that he is going to do that. I also heard that you know, he's working with Milos.
Yeah,
so you automatically think insulin, right? Apparently, he's not doing insulin. That's not going to be in his protocol at all. Apparently, they tried it out, and he said it was interesting when you are when your body, you know, is different when you cannot use your legs. So the way that you carry weight or gain weight and everything is completely different because half of your body is not functioning.
Oh.
You know, and I never really thought about that. So apparently, like, you know, insulin blew him up too much.
Oh.
That, you know, he said, you know, he told Milos, I can't do that. So, you know, even his drug protocol, he was saying, is completely different than when, you know, he was competing. He almost made it sound like he was almost borderline natural in a way, you know.
Comparatively speaking, I'm sure that after this, you know, I'm sure he, you know, when you almost die, you take different priorities.
Exactly. I mean, that's what he was saying, is that, you know, he's more in tune with his health, but, you know, you have to think about it. Only half of his body functions. So some of the food that he eats, like, he has to be his diet has to be completely different than when he was, you know, a full-bodied athlete. So, but it was a really good interview. I haven't heard yours yet. I will.
Oh my gosh! And you're like a reoccurring guest.
Well, I listened to all of. I even listened to the Dorian Yates one.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, I know how you feel about Dorian.
Yeah. So I mean, I've heard everyone except for Chris and Juan's, because Juan's just came out today. But I have to admit, my favorite one so far is my favorite one was Sean Ray.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, that's good. He was good. But I love Sean. I've known him for years, and he's a good caliber guy. He really is. He gets a bad rap sometimes, but he only gets a bad rap because he likes to speak the truth as he sees it. So.
Plus he has a sense of humor. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think he's funny. I mean, I thought he had me cracking up during the Olympia, you know, buffet.
Oh, yeah, they were
him and Mike.
Samir Banu?
No. oh gosh, no, or is his name Richard? The one with he's an IFBB pro, and he was wearing the loud, like he always wears.
Oh, Chris Dickerson. No,
no, not Chris Dickerson.
No. I know you're talking about, tall guy. He was real big in the '90s or in the '80s.
Is it Mike Christensen?
Mike Christian.
Great, yeah.
Mike Christian, yeah.
Yeah, so
nice guy. That dude, he's still got some pizzazz in him, man.
Oh yeah. He those two together.
But it looked like he was going to a club, man. He was in his shirt, man, and he got the shoes and I was
technically, I thought maybe Melly Mel dressed him up. I was looking for Melly Mel. Melly Mel wasn't even at the reception, which kind of surprised me because normally Melly Mel is all over the place. I think we should grab him during the Arnold because he's going to be there.
Oh yeah.
At the Arnold. We should grab him during the Arnold and do an interview. Guy is hilarious. I met him during the finals 3 years ago. Great guy. He wouldn't rap for me at that point in time.
We should. Maybe we'll do that. I'll bring some stuff. Check those guys. So I want to make one mention though before we end this one. The prize money. So like I've been mentioning a little bit of prize money. So the prize money for the payout for the Open, first place is 130,000, second place is 75, third place is 50,000, fourth is 30, and fifth is 15. Now there's also, what is it? I'm cruising here. The Classic Physique guys on the payouts is 5,000, 2,000, 1,500 for first, second, third. It goes down to sixth, and then of course the Physique. 5,000, 2,000, 1,500, down to third, and so forth. So the big money is in the Open class. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning that is because if it were me, and by the way, there's also when you look at the payout for the Open division as well, the payout's a lot bigger, of course. It's like I said, 130,000 for first place, 75,000 for second, 15,000 for third, and then 30,000 for fourth, and 15 for fifth. And then $10,000 for a Most Muscular Award.
I was going to say there's a Most Muscular Award.
And then they got an Ed Corney Best Poser Award for $10,000. Now that's a pretty significant. For just being the best poser in the Open class or the Most Muscular Award, you will get more than most of the other divisions get for first place. And it's interesting. So, and they give such little money to the ladies, such little money. So here's what my if it was me, and I were the winner of now this is me, but I am not saying anybody else should do this. If I won the first place, I would probably take 30 grand, and I would probably either give it to like for instance the wheelchair. I would probably give it to a charity or something. I think, or give it to like maybe donate it back. It's going to sound weird, but I just would want to encourage some of these other divisions to come because and reward them. Like it's just fucking money. He was like, but I get it. They work hard for it, but I get it.
No. Here's the thing. As a fan and everything, I would be willing to pay $10 more.
Yes.
In order to go to the expo, and maybe $5 more in order to go to the finals and everything, if they were going to give all of that money to the prize money, to not to the Open, because the Open already makes enough money to me, but if they were going to give the excess money, all the extra money that I'm paying, that all of us are paying, and split it.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
And then no one has to lose their money, because the thing about it is I don't want the Open men to lose their money. They rightfully deserve the money. That is their prize money.
I agree. I'm just saying that this is me personally.
Everybody should come up.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
I agree.
I think that basically as fans and everything, if we call ourselves fans of the sport, I mean, let's put it this way. The Expo is not that expensive. I mean, compared to the Olympia, those tickets are not expensive. And if you buy them early, the Expo is really economical.
Yeah,
especially for what you get.
Well, yeah, and the Arnold Expo is really typically bigger than the Olympia Expo.
Exactly.
And there's more stuff going on there. They have like 100 and something events throughout the course of the weekend, and it's pretty massive. Although I will admit, as I look down the events, like for instance, they have like dance. They have everything from like dance and to fitness, dance, fitness, cheerleading, CrossFit. There's pickleball, pole fitness. So for me, man, like, okay, when they say, oh, we got 150 events, okay, I'm sorry, but some of that shit don't count for events for me. If it doesn't count for sports, it is. I'm not going to bash them. But as a bodybuilder, I don't care about youth dance sports. I don't care about, there's actually Viking Dash trail run. I mean, okay, it's a trail run. Great. I don't even know what fucking pickleball is, okay? And it's not to say that pickleball is not, because I didn't know what fucking handball was before Juan told me that he was a really great handball player.
Oh, yeah, that's big there. Yeah.
Oh, it's big in New York. Yeah, it's huge, like,
yeah,
right?
It's big in New York.
So, but I knew they had, like, fencing and gymnastics and they have handball. Fuck, hey, Juan, you should do handball, bro.
Well, I mean, come on, handball, I mean, all you need is a wall.
And a ball and a hand.
I mean, it's not really that hard. I mean, it's hard, but it's not that hard to like outfit.
I'm curious. They have. I'm looking. I'm just happen to be looking at the list. They have amateur boxing, pro boxing, and they have pro and amateur MMA. And then, so I'm wondering how, like, is it tied to any of the big organizations?
Yeah, actually, it is. And if you remember, I don't know if you remember this, but you know, they have pro wrestling.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a wrestling rink out there.
I know they have martial arts.
See that, but see, the reason why I like the Arnold is, like, for instance, do you know what day? Do you know what day they do amateurs at the Olympia?
Wednesday, Thursday, right?
See, a lot of people don't know when they do.
I don't have to go. I don't have to go to that
really
one.
Knows.
I even had people in the show.
Exactly, but everybody's like, "Oh, when is that?" But the Arnold, the Arnold, they like actually advertise it. You know when it is. There's a big clamoring behind it. You can barely get a seat. Everybody's standing up and stuff like that. At the Olympia, you'd be lucky to know when it was.
Right. Well,
they just advertise things better there.
Yeah, well, the Arnold amateur events have been around a lot longer than the Olympia amateur events. So when you look at that from that perspective, I get it. And also, Robin does such a great job with the Arnold, with the Olympia, and just getting this amateur division bodybuilding and stuff out the gate so quickly and have it be so successful so fast. I have my hats off to him, really, honestly. So if it's just, and quite frankly, I don't even know if they really need to advertise it because they seem to be doing a stellar job with it. So maybe most people who want to do it, I don't know. I mean, maybe they could. I don't know.
I could never find it. So I mean, like if you look on the Arnold website and everything, you know exactly where everything is. The website is very good. The Olympia website is kind of convoluted.
Oh, here we go, bro. I just looked on the list, man. They got foosball. Let's go into the foosball tournament together.
I personally think we should go and we should take Juan if
do handball.
There, and then Juan's gonna be there, and go and see handball and see if he can actually compete still.
When I talked to him on my show, we talked about it. I'm like, wow. He said he was so disappointed when he tried as he got bigger. He tried, and then one year he went out somewhere. I think it was after, and he had gotten quite a bit bigger, and he tried to play, and he just couldn't. He's just too big. He's like, man, just too big. So he was very disappointed that he couldn't play. Otherwise, you could pull something, and you could tear something, because you got to get around that court too. I guess we said. You really have to be. And he just, I'm just too big now. I'm like, all right, but still, like, I'm not small, and you're not small. We'll be three oafs together, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like asking you to play highlight.
Oh God, fuck. That is I grew up in Las Vegas, and that was really, they advertised that a lot. Highlight, the world's fastest sport. That's what they used to say, and people die in that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That highlight thing hits you in the head.
In Florida, and it's amazing. It's an amazing.
The ball travels like 100 miles an hour, man.
Yeah,
it's like
they when we used to go to Florida, they used to have all of these places where you could play, and now there's not one place.
Why?
It died out after like the 80s.
You used to see it when I remember watching Miami Vice. And they would show a little blip.
Yeah.
Here's another.
It died like right after Miami Vice died.
Oh, well, they were keeping it alive. I'll tell you the thing I really want to do, and this is, my brother has been doing it, and my twin brother, and he said, Ted, you got to do it. He's really good at it, so I know if he's good at it, genetically, we usually are the same when it comes to intellect and also physical, is axe throwing. Fuck, I want to do this.
Oh, okay. I got the perfect place in Ohio. We're going to go axe throwing.
Really? He said it's so much fun.
I got the perfect
so much
place
fun
in Ohio.
Oh my God, they got like, it's just, I mean, he's like, he has a pair of, he's got throwing axes and a target at home.
Oh my God.
And he said that when all the sprints come over, they do this. And he said, he goes, I can hit that center, man. He's like, I'm always crushing everybody. He said, I didn't know I was going to be so good at it. And he just something he really liked. And so one of our friends that we grew up with, he bought him a pair of axes, and he's like, so he starts doing it all.
Oh my gosh. Well, actually, you know what we should do? We should do a segment of where to go in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Food and axe throwing.
Yeah. I will definitely take you to, I've spent far too much time in Columbus, Ohio, this year. I mean, I love Columbus. I really like it a lot. I know you don't like cold weather. I do love cold weather.
I know you're like the only dark Eskimo that I know.
Yes, and there are not that many of us. You know, I mean, even the Canadians that are black that live in Canada are like, man, bro, you're crazy.
You're nuts.
I love it. I mean, when it was like -5, I was like, woohoo, -5.
Well, then you should have been here a few weeks ago when this sucker around here got to -30 with the wind chill. Oh my God.
No,
yeah.
I wasn't going anywhere. In fact, I got out before the vortex.
Okay, well, I didn't. I was here, but it was cool though. It was like an adventure for me. I'd never been anywhere like that, so I could truly say for the first time I could say the first time in my life that I lived in the coldest place on earth for one day. On that one day it dropped that low, it was negative, I think 30, and it was colder than Antarctica, colder than Siberia, but only for one day.
But did you go outside?
I did. Do you know what the Impimba effect is?
Yeah.
So I did the Impimba effect with my glass of water, hot water, and I chucked it in the air. I didn't put it on. You must have saw.
Yeah, I saw that. Didn't your girlfriend's mother or somebody do one better?
Yeah. My girlfriend did. She was at work that day, and she's a doctor. She manages a clinic, and so she went out back and with a bucket of hot water, and she chucked it over her head. And it looks like a fan of ice.
Yeah.
Just.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yours looked really bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I did mine pretty early, and I just kind of I wanted the bubbles. I wanted to do the bubbles. Where you blow the bubbles, and the bubbles will go out and they freeze, and then after a couple seconds, they just. But they'll literally freeze in midair and just sort of float there like this ice bubble. I was like, oh, that's cool, man.
Well, I was in Columbus on Super Bowl Sunday, and it was one of the few times that in Columbus they didn't de-ice the street, and the reason why they didn't do it was because they were afraid that if they had all of that snow and de-iced it, and the snow melted a little while, it was going to freeze the next day, and so it would just freeze again, right? So they decided not to do anything and treat it. So a friend of mine's, he came to pick us up for dinner, and he came to pick us up in a brand new Mercedes, one of those AMGs or something like that. It was
the AMG, yeah.
Okay, yeah, a beautiful car, right? And I'm thinking to myself, there is no way in hell I would have my luxury model car out here in Vortex, but whatever, dude, that's your car, right? So that was the only way we were going to actually leave the house other than with Uber. So we actually went to a restaurant, and you had to cross the walkway. And the only way you can always tell somebody who doesn't normally live in the wintertime in a winter area, because they walk on ice when they pick up their feet. They literally pick up their feet to walk, right?
Right.
The best thing to do is to slide.
Oh, right. So you don't fall.
And slide. Exactly. Little step. But
that just makes me nervous, man. I don't do well with ice.
Yeah, see, that's because you didn't grow up in ice. But
I grew up in Vegas.
It was so funny. We were watching people cross the street, and you'd see these people just fall on their asses. And they just look like,
I've seen this.
They look like drunk penguins. It's hilarious.
Well, last year I did try to do a little bit of ice skating. We went to here in Chicago during the wintertime, and if it feels anything remotely close to that, I was not designed to be on ice. Fuck that shit. I was not designed to be on ice. I was like, I went right to the edge, crawl over, I was literally on the ice for 5 minutes. Then I went back, took my shoes off, got down, put my shoes back on, turned in my skates, and sat there and watched my daughter and my girlfriend skate for the rest of it.
I was going to say, Suni and your daughter must be good.
Suni's very good. She could skate on the ice because she's been doing it since she was, since she moved here when she was like 11. But my daughter, she can do it for the most part, and she was out there cruising around. But I just, man, you got like me, man. If you fall, it's gonna hurt. Okay, something's gonna break. Okay, I'm sorry, it's gonna break, man. And I was like, man, I do not need to pull a muscle. I do not need to rip something. I do not need to break something. Not my idea of fun.
So that's like me and my ex decided that for my birthday a couple of years ago, he was like, oh, for your birthday, we're gonna do something different, and he ended up taking me to Salsa.
Okay, that sounds fun. That sounds fun.
No, it was not fun to me. Not at all. No, it was not fun at all. I was there for all of 5 minutes, and I was like, yeah, there's a Cuban restaurant right next door. I'll be over at the Cuban restaurant.
I would love to learn how to ballroom dance, and especially salsa dance, because so they say, and I'm going to admit it, yes, I am a good dancer. Everybody who dates me, and they always are surprised. And then when I go to a club, like when I was going to college, I was the dude on the pedestals. Like, that's what I did. Like, I just love dance. It's like it's very free. I feel so comfortable and natural. And when I go to Olympia, and we go after I usually will try to go dancing, with my partner afterwards, because I want to express myself. But I would love to learn. I don't know how to do any kind of formal dancing. So It's just all me moving to the rhythm, me finding my frequency and just going with it, right? And it's so much fun. But I would love to learn how to salsa. Like all of the South American salsa, that style is the music. I love it. It's awesome. It's like high vibration music, man. It sounds good.
Dude, I was your partner last year. We did not go dancing.
No, I asked you. You said, no, when you were tired, I said, we can go. We usually go there. There's like an after party. And so.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did. That's right.
And you were tired. That's right. Yeah, you had that sinus thing going on. And it was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay. But normally, that's what I would do. Take a night and go there and like dance, Some of the club.
Well, historically, what we normally do.
I know you can cut a rug. You said you could.
Well, yeah. At the Arnold, after the Arnold, we usually go to Axis, which is the gay nightclub.
Oh, it is.
Party down.
Party down. Well, that's okay. Hey, man, I'll tell you, when I lived in San Francisco, I had lots of friends, lots of gay friends, and I liked hanging out with them because. I would take my girl, my wife, or my girl, but I loved hanging out with them because they're so much fun. They're so much fun.
The music's 100% better.
Oh, totally.
And the great thing about Access is this: if you're not gay, nobody's going to come up to you. Like
Right.
Straight men get a little weird when they go by themselves without a date. Somebody to anchor themselves.
I would tell most homophobes, man, it's not always about you.
Exactly, but Access is it's almost like they already know that there's going to be a lot of people from the Arnold that could be wandering into that party.
Well, I think it's. Hey man, I'd take it as a compliment, man. I've had lots of guys ask me to dance, like, hey man, I'm straight, I'm good, but thanks, I appreciate it. I would take it as a compliment, man. Like we're just people liking people, man. It's no big deal. I don't care.
I take it as a compliment all the time. The first year that I ever went to the Arnold, we ended up going to this party over to Access because Access said, oh yeah, after party for the Olympia. So you're thinking, oh man, there's going to be these muscular looking guys who are going to be hot. You're going to have these go-go dancers that are going to be hot, blah, blah, blah. The go-go dancers, all of them were completely straight. They were hot, but they were completely straight. So here we are. The place is packed, and all these women come in with their husbands, right? And so this woman, she is drunk as a skunk, and she is like looking at me, and she's feeling my arms.
You're like, hey, sweetheart.
And I'm looking at her like, oh no. Her boyfriend is right next to me, and he's looking at her, and everything. And she's saying all sorts of like very
nasty
sexually stuff. And my ex, who was my boyfriend then, was looking right at me, and he was just kind of like looking at her like you've lost your mind, right? And then all of a sudden, Tad, out of nowhere, she falls.
Oh, was she drunk?
And I step back. I don't even like pick her up. I just step back because her boyfriend is like right next to me, right? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I am the only black man in this whole place. They're gonna think that I beat this woman up. So I put my hands up instinctively and step back. And so her boyfriend picks her up and says, "What did you do to her?" And I was like, my hands are up. I had nothing to do with this woman at all. And he finally got out of my face and like took his girlfriend. But it was really funny.
What happened to her?
Like, huh?
What?
She was so drunk. It was ridiculous.
So she just passed out.
Literally, Tad, she was feeling me. I've never been felt up like that before in my life.
Oh my God!
It was so uncomfortable. And normally when women come on to me and everything, I think it's very flattering. I'm always you know what? I'm always flattered with anybody. Like,
finds you attractive.
Thinks that I'm attractive. So it wasn't that. It wasn't like, oh, a woman,
right,
or anything like that. It was the fact that that girl felt me and I wouldn't put my hands on her at all. I was just trying to ignore her, and Dan was looking at her like, why are you feeling up my boyfriend? That sort of stuff and everything. But I mean, it was hilarious when she like dropped. At first Dan said, she, because she was like, touching me. She's like, I was wondering if she was doing something lewd, and then all of a sudden I realized she was flat on the floor.
That kind of reminds me. I years ago. This was not affiliated with any bodybuilding event, but I was in Vegas on a business trip, and so I went. And of course I was maybe 33, so I was like, let's go to some clubs. So me and my buddies, and so we went to a club, and me and a couple of two of my buddies, and we and I just wanted to dance. I had just gotten a divorce, and I wasn't dating anybody, so So I go into this club, and it was an awesome club. We were dancing, and it was off the strip. It wasn't even in one of the. It was before. This was probably like 2003, and 2004. And and there was this really, really attractive. She's probably like maybe half black, half white, something like that. Because she had this really wonderful complexion. And she starts talking to me, and she says, "Oh, you want to dance?" I said, "Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. Let's go dance." So we start dancing. We dance like a couple hours. And she's impressed with my physique. She rips my shirt open. She's like, "Oh wow, I got it." But she's like, look to her friends, "Oh look, I got a bodybuilder over here." She's like, and her friends are like, "Ooh." And so my buddy's like, "Hey, we're gonna check out. We're gonna head out. You gonna be good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." So I'm sitting there. We close this club down. She's like, "Don't go anywhere without me." She goes, "You have a hotel room?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, of course I do." I'm like, and I'm like going. Then she's like, "I'm gonna go use the restroom. I'll be right back, and I'll be ready to go." And I'm like, and I think to myself, I think she's a hooker.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I just bought her one drink, and we danced and we had fun, and then she's talking about going to my room. Now, granted, if I was like anybody else, I probably would have taken her back to the room, but I got so scared, I just took off. I'm like, I do not want to be with a hooker. I'm sorry. I do not know where you've been, lady.
Exactly. Well,
but she was so Vegas fine, though. She was really hot.
Yeah, but the thing about Vegas hookers is that, one, if you're being picked up that way, normally, you could get to the room and she knock you over the head, or anything could happen, So.
Well, I definitely got it. Was just, that's not my style. I just wanted to dance, and she was very attractive, and she was really nice. But it was just kind of funny. That was my only. I remember I bolted, and I walked back to I was at the stay at the Bellagio. Man, and then it was probably like a 10-minute walk. I was there in 5 minutes.
Holy shit! Yeah, I've gotten myself into like a predicament like that before, where this guy was like all over me, and I'm like, man, I must be the crap today. I must look great.
I know I felt pretty good with myself.
I was like, man, I must be a stud. This guy was hot.
Your money was though.
And I'm thinking to myself, I am going to get lucky tonight, that sort of thing. And a friend of mine comes over and he goes, hey, you know who he is, right? And I'm like, I have no idea who he is, but I'm about to know him in a few minutes. And the guy said, you're not going to know him unless you pay him $300 an hour.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea. I mean, apparently I am not up on my escorts, but I should have been because he was an escort.
See, that just shows you how naive we are. That's just not the kind of deal that we do. So
exactly, because I'm thinking, wow, my cologne must be.
You're like, I'm on point, baby. I'm on point this week.
Exactly. I'm like that extra cardio that I did, man.
Well, all right. Well,
6-pack is rep.
Well, we'll watch ourselves in Columbus when we go. We'll see. All right. Well, that's going to close it up for this episode. We're going to close this up. We just did an Arnold review with a little fun at the end. We'll do a couple. Maybe we'll do a couple interviews. At the Arnold, we'll definitely shoot some video because I got this green screen that's coming with cool lighting for my office for video, so that I could put it in here and I can do when I do this I can put things on the green screen. So it'll be interesting. I want to try to do different videos, more content this year is my whole push. So let's shoot lots of video. We'll have lots of fun at the Arnold. And you're competing. You're looking pretty good. We're gonna get. You sound like you got another cold, man. Don't tell me you got a cold.
No. This is allergy.
Oh, okay.
This is totally allergy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, man, don't tell me you got a cold.
No.
You got to push hard this next week. All right.
No allergies. Yeah, I'm getting ready to take allergy medicine after I get.
And then crash out for the weekend.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks, Nigel. I will talk to you probably tomorrow or the next day for sure.
Awesome. I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks.
And, thanks for having me.
Handle your high with Tadayoshi.